I got the feeling immediately that he was sincere.
We had talked to one other realtor, and they said that they would be happy to list it for us and we just see what happened. And our sense with Paul was that he was going to sell our cabin.
Paul's probably one of the most laid-back people I know, but at the same time, he really gets down to business and gets it done.
Very intelligent, very outgoing, very proactive, very creative. He really is a solution-driven person.
I think there's a misconception with the way people view being a real estate broker. Being a real estate broker is not just letting people into a house and finding them their dream home. That's the beauty of the job. The real job is figuring out how you're going to sell that home through some kind of marketing program that's just going to be better than what's available. It's about pushing the envelope in the industry and setting new standards within the industry to always be changing and always be moving with that industry. And it's not a part-time job, it's a full-time job.
Paul Wilander just sold our property.
Yeah, he was proactive.
He did more to sell our property. It wasn't a huge piece of property, and we were surprised at how much energy he put into selling a relatively small property after I looked at the rest of his portfolio. He really helped us find the value for that property and the value that was a good value for us and where it would actually sell. We were worried about what people would think of the property and if they would really see the value of it, because it was a piece of land that we thought had some real positive assets that might be hard to see. And Paul, by putting together a really good video and putting that out, I think really captured what the property got, those nuances that we thought were important that really helped it sell. He knew what we wanted for it and what we'd take, and he got us more. He got us more than what we said our bottom line was, so we really felt like he had our best interest in mind when he did that.
My marketing is client-centric. With using video, you can take the very best of that property, you can send it out there to every real estate hosting website in the world, and what they're going to see is a story that you created for that property. So whether they're looking on Realtor.com, Oodle, Google, Trulia, ABC Realty next door, they're always going to have that video that you did of that property, which can't be changed, and is the story that the sellers want and the story that's going to close the deal on that house.
My husband and I were living in Costa Rica, and I was spending hours every day on the internet trying to find a home back here in the States. We wanted to sell our home in Costa Rica, move back, and I looked at thousands of homes. And there was one in particular that I stayed interested in, but I knew it was marketed incorrectly. The pictures were bad. It was like from start to finish, it just wasn't marketed well, but I was glad because I was hoping it would stay on the market and give me time to sell my home in Costa Rica. When I checked on the listing one day, a new real estate agent had picked up the listing, and Paul had completely changed how it was presented on the internet. He'd added a beautiful video, he put all new pictures, had just really presented the property beautifully. And I started to get very nervous, thinking, uh-oh, there goes that property. It's not going to hang around very long at all. It's going to be gone. We called first thing to see how that listing was doing, and he said that the closing was the next day. I was just heartbroken that it had been gone. But he said, well, I do happen to have this other listing across the street. So he ended up finding the house that we purchased. So it was kind of a funny turn of events, but he really impressed me.
I think when I first started out, I only focused on, I have to make this work. I took every bit of my savings and I put it all into marketing. And so I took the risk, I forced myself into a gamble where I said, I have to make this money work for me. And I put it into my sellers, I put it into my clients so that I was forced to make a return out of it.
My name is Neil Schwab. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Berlin Packaging. In the past 3 years, we have purchased 8 properties from Paul. 2 of them are for our private home, and 6 of them are investment properties that we have purchased. Paul is a very intelligent real estate broker, very outgoing, very proactive, very creative. He really is a solution-driven person. He's an excellent negotiator, but he does it in a way that doesn't ruin a transaction, but he can be very tough and when he needs to be. So he has all the attributes of an excellent business person. And Paul is really a results-oriented, results-focused kind of individual, very intelligent and very driven to get it done.
We were living in a house in Etowah for 5 years and decided that we had this house here in town and decided we wanted to move to town. We wanted it to happen pretty quick because I was actually pregnant with Charlie.
They had a situation where the buyers that I found for them loved the property, but there's a horse barn that they wanted to put up on one of the sidelines of their property, which is against the restrictions, and which is kind of silly because they own a horse property. You can't put a horse barn up. And we had to get out of the community, I think there were 8 homes in there, we had to get at least 7 of those people to sign off on this, to allow the new restriction to happen. So I hired a notary to go around with me that day and sit in the car with me. And we drove around to every single house.
So finally, Paul got all these signatures from all of our neighbors, and just right on time.
Actually, the day of closing, Anna was in labor, and we were able to close the deal, and I was able to take the check to the hospital, and not only get to meet their beautiful new baby Charlie, but be able to hand them their closing money, which I thought was very special for me in my case.
I think the one thing that really made this deal happen too was the fact that Paul was motivated enough and on our team enough to where he would actually go out with a notary and get all these signatures.
If you have the most innovative marketing available today, and you're constantly putting your clients' needs first, and on a day-to-day basis you're waking up and pushing yourself, then it doesn't matter what the market is. You're going to drive sales, you're going to be successful. And that's what we do every day at Looking Glass Realty.